treat your body with respect, feed it with kindness, move it with joy, listen to it, and stop waging war against it. You're not here for the same old, same old. You're not here for just tips. You're here because something in you knows it's time to change. Not just how you lead, but how you live. I'm Janet Aioli, and this is The Inner Edge, a podcast about leadership, self-mastery, resilience, and reinvention for a new world era. Real life, whole self. Let's go there. Welcome to The Inner Edge. Welcome back to The Inner Edge. So you're listening this time of year, and do you know what happens every year? The noise gets louder, the ads get shinier, and the new you messaging ramps up. And what is that new you? Everyone is supposed to wake up on January 1st, ready to become what? Smaller, more disciplined, more worthy. This episode is not about willpower and it's not about resolutions. It's about something I've lived with, I've wrestled with, and eventually healed from. And it seems like the bandwagon starts January 1st. And this is what I want to talk about today, dieting. The industry, the messages, the shame, the obsession, and the journey for so many of us, especially women, who are forced into this dieting journey or this dieting challenge before we even begin to understand our own bodies. This is an episode I have wanted to record for a while now. And I wanted to record it because the world is changing, and I wanted to do that now. GLP-1 drugs have exploded. The diet industry is booming, and yet underneath it all, the real story, the inner story, hasn't changed at all. So today I'm going to share my story a little bit about this whole diet revolution and talk a little bit about eating and dieting as we head in to the new year. I'm going to share my story not because it's that dramatic, because it's not. I didn't have this massive weight loss or anything like that, but it's ordinary. Because my story is a story of so many women I talk to and coach, and so many other women that I've known in my lifetime. And maybe it's because you relate to it and you know the story too. So especially to those of you who are women listening to this episode, I think it's going to resonate. So I kind of came of age in the 80s. And if you lived through that era, you know thin was the oxygen we breathed. And I know now that's coming back around, but everybody had to be thin. Magazines, commercials, movies, everything told women and girls, not necessarily men, but women and girls, your worth is in proportion to how little or how much space your body takes up. And when I was around 13, something happened that molded more of my identity than I like to acknowledge or that I even realized for years. I had hit puberty that summer. Nothing dramatic. I had gained a few pounds, a slightly rounder face, cheeks that looked more like a teenager than a little girl. But, by no means was I overweight by the standards, the medical standards. And one day, so I was living in Greece at the time, and I went down to the store. There was these local stores that, there's the vegetable store. It was like a supermarket, but a mini mart, right? And I walked down to that, and the local store owner was a man in his late 30s, and he hadn't seen me for several months. And he said to me, and this is still in my mind, "Wow, if you keep porking out like this, you're going to be a baby elephant, girl. No one is attracted to girls who look like elephants." That's what he said to this 13-year-old girl. I still feel the heat of that moment when I say it, because I remember, I can feel it, the sensation in my body, the wash of shame that starts in your chest and rushes up your neck, and the desire I had to disappear. I just felt red, and I felt I wanted to be invisible. I wanted to go away and I wanted to make myself smaller, literally, so I don't feel this humiliation because I felt humiliated. And really, there was no reason to feel humiliated, but I felt humiliated. And that's the moment that I embarked upon my dieting journey at 13 years old. Not because I was unhealthy, not because I needed to lose weight, but because an adult gave a child a message that her body was a problem and it wasn't acceptable as it was becoming. And once that switch flips, you spend years and sometimes decades trying to flip it back or trying to gain that power back of that switch. So after that comment, I set out to learn everything I could about diets, every single one. If it was in a magazine, I read it. If it was on a show on TV, I watched it. If a celebrity, oh my gosh, if it was a celebrity diet, how did they lose weight in 3 days? Or I studied it. I knew every diet, the Atkins, South Beach, cabbage soup, vegan, raw food. I mean, keep going, right? Keto, low fat, high protein, fasting. I mean, they all were the rage and then they all came back. And so every diet is like a version of an old one. There was a brown rice diet. I mean, there was a eat only fruit or food combining diet for the fit for life. I researched them all. And I lost those 6 pounds that I had gained as a young teenager. But something else happened. No matter how thin I was, I never felt like I was thin enough because I didn't look like a model and because the feeling wasn't coming from my body. It was coming from the conditioning and the messages all around me. So then I went to college and I gained around 12 pounds. And that was kind of like the freshman 10 plus 2. Apparently that's normal. It was a human change, eating late dinners, pizza, cold pizza, stress, staying up late. But the commentary came quickly. Everyone had something to say about my body. And now my really well-meaning mother, who noticed that I was in angst about all of this, took me to a trendy diet doctor when I was in college, the kind her friends saw whenever they needed to lose weight before an event. And I remember being in that office and feeling ashamed that I'm still a teenage girl that is being considered overweight. And trust me, this was not a weight problem. I had gained 12 pounds in college. Okay. And then going into the bathroom, I remember after going to this doctor and he told me what to eat. It was a hard-boiled egg and it was a yogurt and it was at the time, I don't eat meat anymore, but it was just a plain broiled hamburger. And if you get really, really hungry, you can have a yogurt. And that was it. I mean, you couldn't eat anything. And I remember going to the bathroom secretly and eating a chocolate bar and feeling like, oh my gosh, you're such a failure, an idiot. I was 26 pounds at the time, 5'3.5", because I'm 5'4", so it was 5'3.5" at the time. I was perfectly healthy. I was hardly in crisis, but that's the power of messaging. It convinces you that something is wrong and nothing was wrong with me. I was just healthy, but I didn't meet the thin standards. So fast forward to now. The diet industry in the United States alone is worth over $90 billion. The global industry is over $300 billion, and it's projected to reach nearly $500 billion within a decade, especially with the rise of GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy. And I'm not knocking any of this. While some of these tools can genuinely help people, the problem is that far too many of us, dieting doesn't begin with health. It begins with shame. It begins with trying to fix a body we're being taught to hate from the time we're children, and especially women. And most people don't know this, but I eventually, over the years, and I became certified by the Board of Medical Examiners as a health and wellness coach. Why? Because after decades of dieting and this roller coaster thing, I've always maintained the same weight. So it's not like I have this weight problem. So please, I'm not harping on this as in terms of, I have this weight problem and I'm yo-yoing. No, I've maintained the same weight, but it was in the past when I was younger, it was in an unhealthy way. And so part of my journey of learning more about nutrition and health was I wanted to understand the truth, not the trends, not the hype, not the revenue-driven marketing, eat a grapefruit for breakfast and then have 2 lettuce leaves for lunch. I wanted to learn the truth about health and weight. And here's what I discovered, that healthy eating is actually simple. Seriously, it's shockingly simple. It's the messaging that's complicated. Most diets really rebrand the same few principles. And here's what they are, and this is how simple it is. Eat whole foods, reduce ultra-processed foods, so processed foods out, reduce sugar, that's big, eat balanced meals, hydrate, drink lots of water, move your body, and listen to your body because everyone's different. And then the other simple messages that I learned was what not to eat most of the time. Avoid or minimize foods with added sugars. Don't drink sugary drinks. Don't eat ultra processed stuff like little snacks like corn curls and stuff like that. Avoid fried foods like the plague, foods high in added oils, and avoid constant snacking. Don't self-soothe by eating comfort food. Also be cautious with extreme high protein fats. Those are the simple facts when you look at the data about what to eat to stay healthy. And if you need or want to lose weight, there are some really simple principles. And so I'm going to tell you what I've learned because I've stayed pretty much the same weight. For the past 25 years, I've been the same weight. And even, through my 50s now, right, I've stayed the same weight. And so slow is safe. These cabbage soup diets are not good. Your metabolism is not your enemy. So make sure you're eating enough to keep your metabolism up. Consistency beats intensity. So eating well all the time, it's a lifestyle. It's not a crash diet. And then I can go back to eating all the crap that I want to eat. Doesn't work. GLP-1 medications, in my opinion, are tools. They're not magic. And so for those people who need to take those, I think that's an important thing, and consult with your doctor. But I don't think that's magic. I think learning how to eat differently is magic. Shame is the most toxic ingredient when you are in these binge eating habits. You cannot hate yourself into a healthier body. You've got to learn what nourishes yourself and then maintain that. And do you have a treat once in a while? Absolutely. Am I like a crazy chocolate freak? Absolutely. Do I make sure that I monitor what I'm eating and making sure that I nourish my body with healthy foods? Like, for example, I don't eat meat because, it's high in fat for me and my body doesn't do well with high fat diets. My cholesterol goes up. I don't eat chicken that much. I mean, I'll have it occasionally, but I don't. And I try to have plant-based diet. I eat carbs. I eat bread, the whole wheat bread. I eat avocados. I try to eat things that are from nature and not things that are in a package. I avoid some of the aisles in the supermarket like the plague. You'll never see me buy a TGIF's, what are they, potato skinned, cheesy thing. I'll never buy that. And I don't eat cheese. So it's really about nourishing your body. And that's what works for me. So this isn't about choosing the perfect plan. This episode wasn't about telling you, here's the diet for the new year. It's about understanding the inner story that's driving your relationship with food. And I think some of it starts early. Where did I learn that something was wrong with my body in the first place? Who taught me that I had to shrink and be small so that I could be accepted? And what am I actually hungry for? And why should I carry that shame of something that isn't there? So those are the things that, I wanted to talk about in this episode. And this year, it's the new year. I wanted to offer you a different approach to this whole, let's focus on our body for the new year. Treat your body with respect. Feed it with kindness. Move it with joy. Listen to it and stop waging war against it. Nourish yourself. Get rid of the crap that is in our food system and eat healthy, whole foods. If you've struggled with dieting, there was never anything wrong with you. You are not the problem. The messaging is the problem. This year, what I'm wishing for you is that you reclaim the power that shame tried to steal, and you create a new type of relationship with your body. May you redefine your relationship with food, and may you finally choose nourishment over comfort or over punishment. That is the inner edge.